Support for Radio Friends comes from Roseheart Hypnotherapy, serving Central Missouri since 2007. They specialize in pain management, pre- and post-medical procedures, fears, phobias, and increasing performance and success in every area of life. Athletes needing sports hypnosis to improve their ability will be pleased to know that Roseheart Hypnotherapy specializes in neurofeedback and is the only certified OptiBrain train and golf practitioner in Missouri. Call Roseheart Hypnotherapy at 888-604-9997 or visit mohyp.com and experience true success. Good morning and welcome to Radio Friends on Friday, May the 11th. Good to have you with us today. And my friend Larry Brown is here.
Good morning.
Good morning, Larry. And this is your 76th appearance.
We were just talking about that.
Yeah, since Radio Friends started 9 years ago, you have been on 75 times. I can't believe that.
Well, I checked the records.
75 different stories that you have told.
75 different stories or songs or combinations of stories and songs. Yes.
You got that many stories.
Well, sometimes they're unique and created just for Radio Friends.
Yes, okay. Well, you're going to do a very special story today since this is Mother's Day
weekend. That's right.
You have a special Mother's Day story.
It's a classic.
Okay. Are you ready?
Well, sure.
All right.
But I need to tell you that in lots of cultures, mother is often a designation for the earth. Or for the natural
Mother
systems.
Earth, right.
Sure. Many cultures, many religions have a goddess or a characterization of nature's processes that is often feminine, and in particular in the mothering role. And this is one of them.
Okay, like Mother Nature.
Sure.
Okay, so here is Larry Brown with a Mother's Day story.
Now, Zeus and Demeter had only one child, Persephone. Now, Zeus, of course, was god of gods in the Greek pantheon, and Demeter was really the goddess of fertility, of harvest, of nature. And their daughter was beautiful and vivacious. And although Demeter and Zeus were separated, Demeter and Persephone had such a wonderful relationship. Demeter just enjoyed her laughter and watching her grow and the conversations they had, and particularly watching Persephone go out into the world and enjoy the flowers and the grass and the blooming trees. Now, one afternoon she was out with Artemis and Athena, and they were enjoying the flowers and the smells and the colors and the birds and all of nature, and Persephone had wandered off from the other two, so absorbed. She was trying to find the best flowers to bring home to her mother, Demeter, and didn't keep track of where she was. Little did she know that lurking behind in the woods was Hades, god of the underworld, who had been watching her and had an attraction for her. In fact, he wanted to claim her as his bride. But he knew that her mother Demeter would never approve of taking Persephone down to the dark world, to the underworld, but he knew perhaps Zeus would give him away. And so he went to Zeus and had convinced Zeus that he could abduct Persephone and take her to be the queen of the underworld. And Zeus, the brother of Hades, approved. And so here was Persephone out gathering flowers, and all of a sudden it grew dark and gray, and the earth shook, and the earth opened up, and steam and smoke rolled out, and there came Hades in his chariot with 4 horses. And Persephone was frozen in fear, and he snatched her up and took her down into the earth, and the earth closed up behind her. Well, he took her down and had a beautiful room for her in the underworld and used all of his persuasive abilities to get her to stay and be queen of the underworld, offering her food. But Persephone refused food because she knew that if you ate food in Hades, you'd never leave. And so she refused. He used all of his persuasive skills, and it wouldn't work. Meanwhile, Demeter, her mother, was searching all over, found nothing but wilted flowers where Persephone had been. And she searched and searched. For 9 days and nights she searched the entire countryside, finding no evidence, and no one knew anything. Finally, on the 10th day, Hecate said, well, I think she was abducted, but I don't know by whom. But Helios, god of the sun, who sees everything, had pity on Demeter and told her that Hades had abducted her. Well, Mother Demeter was enraged. How could such wickedness happen under the very nose of Zeus? And there Helios had to say, Zeus consented. Well, it didn't take long for Demeter's grief and sadness to turn to anger. And she went throughout the world for the next year, assuming the figure of a person. And everywhere she went, crops failed, and nature just began to shut down. And after a year's time, she finally went to the foot of Mount Olympus and called out to Zeus, so that all the gods could hear her, I will swear 2 oaths. 1, I will never set my foot on Mount Olympus. And secondly, I will not let the earth return to life and vitality until my daughter is returned, whom you consented to allow to be abducted. Well, Zeus was worried, for he was going to be blamed at the failure of the crops and the trees that were not blooming and the earth turning into winter. And so Zeus turned to his messenger Hermes and sent him to negotiate, perhaps, with Hades. Well, as Persephone was living with Hades, bit by bit, she was beginning to understand the sadness and loneliness of Hades. And one day he came to her presenting food, and she saw his sad eyes. And she was beginning to have empathy for the folks, the lost souls that were coming to Hades. And just in perhaps a vulnerable moment, she accepted food from Hades, and he offered her a pomegranate. And she ate only 6 seeds. But that was just at the moment that Hermes arrived and thought, it's too late, I'll not be able to negotiate. But Hermes the messenger was clever, and he stood in the darkness and negotiated with Hades and made a deal. Since she only ate 6 seeds, would you allow her to stay 6 months in Hades and go to the surface of the earth for 6 months out of the year? And Hades agreed, and the deal was made. And so it was that Persephone would spend 6 months underground and 6 months on the surface. And therefore Demeter accepted that proposal, and Demeter said, therefore, for half of the year I will allow flowers to bloom and grass to grow and crops to be restored, and for the other 6 months, when Persephone is held underground, all will be cold and winter. And that, of course, is the cycle of the season. Persephone with spring, and Persephone with winter.
Well, that's a rather unusual, good Mother's Day story.
The love of a mother.
Yeah. Thank you,
us the seasons.
Larry Brown. Thank you so much for coming by. And if people want your CDs or your songs, how do they get them?
Well, they can contact me at brownstory.com. And that's a website.
Okay. And the thing is that if you want Larry to come perform for you, you can contact him that way also,
sure.
Right?
Or brownstory@hotmail.com by email.
brownstory@hotmail.com. Larry Brown, thank you so much for coming by. And those allergies, I hope they get better soon.
It's Persephone springtime.
That's what it is. pepperpmissouri.edu. Bye-bye.